Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have 10 senses. 5 are called as Jnanendriyas or knowledge acquiring senses. Eyes, nose, ears, tongue and skin. And 5 are called as Karmendriyas or the working senses. Hands, legs, speech, genital and rectum. These are the 5. And then false ego is also included here because false ego makes the person believe that this body and you are not different. That's false ego. And what is mind doing? Mind is the Raja. Mind is the king. And mind is leading all these senses. And whatever mind dictates, that's what the senses do. And the famous Katha Upanishad, the analogy of Ratha. The entire body is like Ratha, the 5 horses are senses, the mind is the bridle and the intelligence is holding the bridle. So now you see who is controlling the 5 senses, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. It's the mind that is controlling. Therefore, mind is that entity which controls these different entities in the body. And the worst part is, mind is uncontrolled. That's the worst part, cherry on the cake. Already all our senses, they are subtle and they have got impressions of the past. They have got some taste of the past. And mind has got its own desires. And what happens? The person is busy completely doing sense gratification dictated by the mind. And this mind will never allow the devotee to get closer to Krishna. All the time the mind will just keep thinking about only one thing, how to do better sense gratification, using those samskaras of the past. Therefore, as sadhakas, in sadhana bhakti, niyam becomes very, very important. Rules becomes very important. Therefore, we understand that when niyam is given, that niyam is for what? That rule is for what? That rule is to control the mind. So when you are following that niyam means that which you will not violate. That is niyam. So I'll follow that. What does that mean? I'll follow that. I'll force my mind to do that particular activity even when the mind is not interested. So niyam becomes very important. In Bhakti-alok, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says there are 2 kinds of niyam. One is called as vidhi, prescription. And second is called as nishedh, prohibition. So all of us in general will have these prescriptions and prohibitions. Now it's a very, very important thing to note that these prescriptions and prohibitions, which are niyam, which are rules, when it is just rejected just like that, no, it's not important for me, it is called as niyam agraha. And when it is followed just for the sake of following, not having any mood of spiritual advancement, that is called as agraha, niyam agraha. Niyam agraha and niyam agraha. In fact, to pronounce as niyam agraha is not proper because both are niyam agraha. I was trying to understand the Sanskrit intricacies of this word. So niyam and agraha. Niyam and agraha. When you put both of that together, it becomes niyam agraha. In either case, it's niyam agraha. So either the person is very eager to follow without understanding the nuances of it, without having a higher goal, or whimsically reject. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada in Nectar of Instruction by Srila Rupa Goswami, he makes this very important point that accepting some rules and regulations for material advancement, that is niyam agraha. Niyam agraha. And rejecting the same, that's the problem. That is niyam agraha. Therefore, it's a very important thing that one has to use the rules and regulations. One has to understand that rules and regulations are meant for what? For advancing in spiritual life. and then employ those rules and regulations or execute what is given so that one can advance in spiritual life. Very, very important. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, again, Nectar of Instruction, Shloka 2 purport. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpa niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadabhir bhaktir vinashyati. So in the case of niyamagraha, he writes only one paragraph. And in that one paragraph, he is making this point that a Krishna conscious devotee should not be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic development. We'll see what are these rules and regulations in detail. Yet, they should be very faithful to accept scriptural rules and regulations for advancement in Krishna consciousness. And he specially writes, one has to follow the four related principles of no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. Now let's go a bit deeper in this aspect of Niyam Agraha. It's given Bhakti Alok. Very deep and technical. So conditioned souls in general, see, we spirit souls are eligible to move from a low position to exalted position. All of us. We have got this human form, we have got intelligence, we have got some level of Sukriti. We are at a currently low position. We are supposed to reach the exalted position. So we are eligible for this transition. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is writing. So while doing this transition from low position to exalted position, there are many stages in between, there are many steps. And each step will be having niyam. Each step will have some prohibitions, each step will have some prescriptions. So a devotee in general, what he's supposed to do? He's supposed to follow the prescriptions and prohibitions of that step. He does that properly, he can go to the next level. Now the next level, there will be a different set of prescriptions and prohibitions, possibly. Or some can carry on from the previous step also. So what he's supposed to do, he's supposed to give up the lower ones, if it is not prescribed in the higher step, and keep following that and keep moving ahead. And keep going to the higher steps and reach the exalted position. So this is what is expected. Now these prescriptions and prohibitions are also there or are also divided, for conditional stage and constitutional stage. What is our constitutional stage? What is our Swarupa? Jivara Swarup hoy Krishnara Nitya Das. Lord Chaitanya, when he was asked, who are you? He says, Naham Vipro Nacha Narapati Napi Vaishyo Na Shudro Naham Varni Nacha Grihapati No Vanasto Vatirva Kintu Prodyan Nikhila Paramananda Purnamritabdhair Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalayor Das Das Anudasa. So it's a very important thing here. A person who is in the constitutional position, he will be free from the four varnas and four ashramas. So he is saying, Naham Vipro Nachanarapati. I am not Vipra, I am not Brahman, I am not Kshatriya, I am not Vaishya, I am not Shudra. Naham Varni Nachagrihapati. Now I am not Brahmachari, I am not Grahastha, I am not Vanaprastha, I am not Sannyasi. Oh, then who are you? Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalayor. That personality who is the maintainer of the gopis. Gopi Jana Vallabha. Are you direct servant of him? No, I am servant of the servant of the servant. And that too I am an insignificant servant of all those servants. That's what he says. So this is the constitutional position. So Jivera Swarup hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. What type of Das? Here we understand. Das, Das, Anudas. Whose Das they are at the top? They are not Das of anyone in this material world. They are Das of Gopi Bhartuhu, the maintainer of gopis. This is called as constitutional position. Conditional position means we are stuck in the material world, and that is conditional position. So one has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of conditional position. Now when it comes to constitutional position, in this constitutional position, what is the prescription and what is the prohibition? There is only one prescription, and that is prema. And there is only one prohibition, and that is envy. That's it. There is nothing at the constitutional state apart from this. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Bhakti Alok article, he says, there is no need to discuss about this much. As we grow higher and higher, reach higher stages of bhakti, reach our constitutional position, it will automatically take place. So prema is the only prescription. Love of God is the only prescription. Envy is the only prohibition. So there is no question of envying the Lord or the paraphernalia associated with the Lord. Now, talking about the conditional stage, in that, principally it is divided into three categories, three principal categories. First one is karma, lowest. Then we have jnana, and then we have bhakti. These are three categories, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting in this article of Bhakti Alok. Now, it's very important to note, many of the times what happens is, people just reject whimsically the prescription and the prohibitions which are given, in a particular stage. These principal three stages are described for a conditional living entity, like all of us. Now, it's a very important thing that we have to understand at what step we are and what are we supposed to follow. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur's recommendation in the yoga ladder is start from Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. So whenever we say Karma Yoga, we are talking about Nishkam Karma Yoga. Or Guni Bhuta Bhakti, that is Karma Pradhan. So karma is more. That is Bhakti Mishrit Karma. So Bhakti is less, Karma is more. And then from there he says, come to Karma Mishra Bhakti. Increase Bhakti. Karma should be less. And then finally come to Kevala Bhakti. That's the recommendation of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now, it's very important that if someone is there, at Guni Bhuta Bhakti, where, he's doing less Bhakti and more of the material duties, then he has to follow what is given. Therefore, it is said that a person in this step of karma, so what is supposed to do? Karma Kanda or Karma Yoga. What is supposed to do? He should follow the rules of Varnashrama. So, Varnashrama system rules should be followed. Varna Dharma should be followed, Ashram Dharma should be followed, and for a woman, we have Stri Dharma. So, they should follow that. Now, in this, 10 samskaras are there, which they have to follow. Those 10 samskaras are very important. And there are some regulative prayers which are prescribed, which they are supposed to pray on a regulated basis. So, these are all prescriptions. So, follow the rules of Varnashrama. Second, follow the samskaras. And third, some prescribed set of prayers should be chanted. And what are the prohibitions now at this stage? Prohibitions are all the sins and the bad habits which are there. Those should be given up. Those are prohibitions. Whenever we say Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, obviously the first thing is adharma should be given up. There is no question. There is no space for sin anywhere, in the Varnashrama system. Now, after sufficient material detachment, only the person can give up these duties and take up karma sannyas. So, this is a very important thing. This is what is the entire discussion in Bhagavad Gita that is happening. Arjuna is saying that I'll take karma sannyas. And Krishna is like, no, you're not eligible yet. No, your heart is not fully purified. So, there's no question of doing that. You're not still attached. So, when sufficient detachment comes, then only this is possible. Otherwise, it's not possible. So, when the detachment is attained, so higher qualification, his higher qualification destroys his attachment to fruitive activities. Then he can go ahead. But if he is still inclined to follow the Karma Kanda section, then it's a problem. Then he will not be able to progress. Therefore, this is advancement, where he gives up that lower one and goes higher. Now, when it comes to devotees also, one thing we have to understand is, how much time are we investing in the material activities? Based on that, these things have to be followed. Therefore, in general, when we have a community members are expected to follow the rules of Varnashrama and the 10 samskaras which are there, Dasha samskaras. And obviously in that we have some more subsets, so total becomes 16, Shodashat samskaras. So it has to be followed. Therefore, we focus so much on Garbhadan samskar should be done. Then we have Vivaha samskar should be done, Anteshti samskar should be done. So these are the different samskaras, and between we have many. So in this way, it has to be followed. But now a person is detached. So that person can go to the next level, next step. That is Jnana, the section of Jnana, renunciation. Now here, what is the prescription? Sannyas is the prescription. Someone has to give up his material duties, he has to give up his family, sannyas. And he has to discuss what He cannot discuss what is the share market price and what is going on in politics and sports, etc. No. He's supposed to discuss matter and spirit. That's the discussion all about. He's supposed to discuss how we are not the matter, we are spirit. And what are the prohibited activities for him? So prohibited activities for him are basically all the sinful activities that is already covered in the first step. Now the fruitive activities and attachment to sense object, sense enjoyment is also prohibition in this stage. Rules. So when these rules are followed, then the mind can be controlled nicely. So here we have this thing that is given. So fruitive activities, forbidden activities and attachment to sense enjoyment are prohibited. So therefore it's very important that a karma kandi, a jnani, what he's supposed to do, he should remain fixed in the knowledge of Atmagyan, that is, I am spirit soul, I'm not this body. He's supposed to be fixed in that. Until he attains a taste for devotional service, he should remain under the rules of jnana kanda. But then there's no prerequisite, no? There's no prerequisite for bhakti. Then why he has to wait? Why he has to wait for taste for devotional service? What do you say? No, a sinful person can do Kevala Bhakti. Okay. So this is one point. Yes. Any other thing?
Without sufficient knowledge, like we do often.
It's okay. Anyways, that's how Aparad Yukta Bhajan. That's what we start with. Aparad Yukta Bhajan. So that's okay. See, one thing is there that when we directly take up to bhakti by the mercy of some devotee, so that is okay. By the mercy of that devotee, we start a devotional service. But these people who go step by step, for them, this is very important because that is by their own endeavor they're doing all this. So at least some taste in devotional service they should get. Because some mercy will flow, some mercy has to flow in their life also. So basically, he has to wait for the mercy to come. That's what is the point that we can take here. Therefore, if he is qualified now for doing bhakti but still attached to jnana kanda rituals or jnana kanda activities, he is guilty of niyamagraha. He will not be able to make advancement. He is just doing for the sake of doing, or he is just attached to the various rules, prohibition and prescription of the lower stage, which is not proper. He has to give up and go higher. Now let's talk about the higher aspects. Let's go to the next step. So karma, jnana, and next is bhakti. One thing which we have to notice is Ashtanga is something that is not included like this in between, because Ashtanga is considered as a process which can be used for attaining any of it. I mean Brahman, Paramatma, Bhavan realization. So it's a process. Now here, when it comes to bhakti, performance of activities favorable to devotion is what is prescription. Simple. And all the prescriptions and prohibitions of these lower things that we have should be followed. Especially of jnana division. Now that's what is spoken. Not of karma division, but jnana division. One has to follow the prescriptions and prohibitions. And he has to cultivate a devotional service with the help of those prescriptions and prohibitions. It's not that I'm just following these prescriptions and prohibitions, but I'm not advancing in bhakti. Then there is no use. Shamayeva hi kevalam. Waste of time. And then what are the prohibitions which are there for a bhakta? All activities which are opposed to the Lord, which are not anukul, not towards the Lord, that should be given up. And then attachment to sense enjoyment has to be given up. He has to give up the conclusions opposed to devotional service. Actually, these are in itself a class, by the way. If we start speaking about each topic, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur is just listing down, it's a class in itself. Like for example, attachment to sense of enjoyment. So why a bhakta should give up attachment to sense enjoyment? Now this is something which we can go on and on and on, to speak. Already mind is contaminated, and if we go on doing sense enjoyment, what will happen? Where is the question of space for thinking about Krishna? Therefore, it has to be given up. And conclusions opposed to devotional service. So where is the space for this? conclusions opposed to devotional service. We are supposed to accept the conclusions which are favorable to devotional service and keep moving towards the Lord. But if we subscribe to the conclusions opposed to devotional service, like for example, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now that's the conclusion, the essence that is there. Now the opposition or something that is against this is okay. There are sabhi Devi Devata ek hai. Now when you consider all Devi Devatas as one, which normally people do in this world. So where is the question of surrender? Where is the question of sarvadharman parityajya? Where is the question of advancing in bhakti? Not possible. So this is the conclusion. This is the conclusion opposed to devotional service. I just gave you one example like this. And giving up actions, those are prohibited. And Prabhupada lists down very clearly, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. With time, at least gross platform we should try to follow, and with time we should follow on the subtle platform also. Meat eating. What is the subtle platform of meat eating? That's gross, no? Subtle. Imagining to eat.
No. Soya bean, all this stuff,
Okay.
We are eating that.
Okay. What else? Enviousness. That's the subtle thing. So giving up enviousness. That's the subtle thing that is there. And illicit sex, the subtle thing I need not discuss much on that. Everyone knows on the subtle side. So like that, all the other things also. So now let's go a bit deeper. Till now we've discussed all the preliminary things, karma, jnana and bhakti as a superficial platform. Let's go a bit deeper in bhakti now. Now there is something called as Krishna Prem, which we keep speaking about. Now, Krishna Prem or the temple of Krishna Prem, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, the temple of Krishna Prem is the highest peak in Goloka Vrindavan. Now to go to that temple of Krishna Prem, one has to give up the lower things. And he says that in order to reach that peak, one has to cross the 14 planetary systems of Karma Kanda. He has to give up that. 14 planetary systems of Karma Kanda. Then one has to give up Viraja Brahmaloka of Jnana Kanda. So Viraja and the Brahman aspect that is there. And then he says, then rise above Vaikuntha. And then we'll be able to reach this. And that is the temple of Krishna Prem. This is the GPS that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us. 14 planetary systems and then Viraja and then Vaikuntha and then above that, we'll have this Krishna Prem. So now, what is that one rule going forward on this path? Bhaktivinoda Thakur highlights. Shraddha is the only rule for people established on the level of bhakti. Very, very important. This is the only thing that is there. There is nothing more than this. Shraddha, faith. Shraddha is the only rule for people established on the level of bhakti. Now he goes on describing this aspect of Shraddha. We'll discuss more on this. But he gives this flow that how when anarthas, unwanted habits are destroyed by the power of bhakti, under the shelter of sadhu and guru, that Shraddha transforms the devotional service with nishtha or firm faith. Now the basic Shraddha that is there when the anarthas go away and one gets freed from that under the shelter of guru and sadhu, so what happens? He goes higher. He goes to the platform nishtha, firm faith. And when further anarthas are destroyed, basically we're talking about anartha nivritti. When further anarthas are destroyed, what happens? One progresses from the level of nishtha to ruchi to asakti to bhava to prema. That's what happens. Now in the process of sadhana bhakti, when we talk about sadhana bhakti, there are only 4 stages of sadhana bhakti. What are those? So we have Shraddha, Nishtha, Ruchi and Asakti. These are the 4 stages of sadhana bhakti. And then we have Bhava Bhakti and then we have Prema Bhakti. And that's how it is defined, right? So we have Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. Many times in Bhagavatam also we'll find this description. Now we'll find something about sadhana, then we'll say, then it will describe about Bhava and Prema. So this is the division. So when we say sadhana bhakti, these are the 4 aspects which will be always highlighted. Shraddha, then Nishtha, ruchi, and asakti. These are the 4 aspects that will be highlighted. So now, after passing these 4 stages, one comes to the level of bhava, and then the doorstep of the temple of prema. Now, according to the degree of faith, each level has different rules. Different degrees, different rules, which are there. As one leaves behind one level and progresses to the next, he should honor the rules of the later and leave aside those of the former. Now, this is something that is more deep and complicated. We'll discuss it some other time using Madhurya Kadambani by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. We'll discuss these different aspects of what are the prescription and prohibitions at different stages. But one thing is there, that this prohibition which Prabhupada has given, the 4 regulative principle, will not go away at any stage. This is something that is there throughout. We cannot say I've crossed Nishtha, so now I can go forward for meat eating, gambling, etc. No. So this is going to happen. But there is one rule that is there, which is subordinate. So there's one rule which is the king of all the rules. And all the other rules are subordinate to that. In Padma Purana, this is given, and Rupa Goswami quotes that in Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Smartavyam satatam Vishno vismartavyana jatuchit sarve vide nishedasur etayor eva kinkarah. So what is the basic rule that is there for a devotee? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Smartavyam satatam Vishno. So we should remember Krishna. Vismartavyo na jatuchit. There is no question of forgetting Krishna. This is the only rule that is there, which is king of all the rules. And all others are kinkara, all others are servants. Now, it's a very important thing to note that when we are talking about always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna, one rule which Srila Prabhupada highlights at various places is worship only Krishna. Now, people who are not at that platform, they will not be able to accept this fact. So, worshipping only Krishna, there is no question of worshipping any Devi Devta. But people who are not on that platform of surrender, or people who are not there on that platform of bhakti, for them to accept this fact, why only Krishna? Why only Krishna? No, there are so many other Devi Devtas. Hamare liye sare Bhagwan ek hai. We'll hear all this. And many times people feel that ISKCON is a crypto-Christian missionary, where it's talking about one God, one book, and one destination, etc., etc. But the fact is, this is the rule. This is the rule for a devotee. What is the rule? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. If we have Monday one rule, Tuesday one rule, Wednesday one rule, how will we remember Krishna? Monday we have one temple, Tuesday we have one temple. Obviously, it's good for book distribution. But not for a sadhaka, not for a sadhaka to get closer to Krishna. This is the rule that is there. And this rule is supposed to be followed. When, basically now see we are going deep in the platform of bhakti. So this rule becomes very, very much significant for a person on the platform of bhakti. Otherwise, for others, it's not that important. The one who is stuck at karma, who is still busy in doing all the worship of Devi Devtas to get something in return, material things in return, for them it doesn't matter. But for the one who claims themselves to be a Vaishnava, the one who says that, oh, I have so much of love for Krishna, etc., etc., yes, this is the thing that is supposed to be followed. I just gave one example again, which Prabhupada highlights, worshipping only Krishna. And there are various other things also. Chanting only Krishna's names. There is no question of chanting anything else. And that too, when it comes to Gaudiya Vaishnavas, in this parampara, chanting only Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Obviously, we can chant any names of Krishna, no doubt. But then this is something that is a prescription that is given to us. We have to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's what the Acharya is saying, so we're supposed to follow. And then only taking Krishna Prasad. There's no question of eating anything else. So these are some of the prescriptions which are given for devotees to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And when it comes to preachers, as preachers, we should know what to preach where. Very, very important. If the person is in step 1 and you're talking about temple of prema, he'll never understand what is that. So step 1, karma, okay, you're at step 1, you follow varnashrama duties, you follow the 10 samskaras which are there, this is what you're supposed to do. Many times, it happens that devotees start practicing bhakti. Now, they are neophytes. They just started. There's no question of surrender. They are still khichdi that is there in the head. But this point that devotees need not follow all this. This is something that has become prevalent in the communities in various places. Devotees need not follow. These samskaras and all, no, not needed. Just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But how many rounds of Hare Krishna to chant to become happy? That also should be mentioned. Why not follow? Why not follow these samskaras? Oh, anyways, Prabhupada said Grahastha Sannyasis are all same. And that was Prabhupada time. Now at this time, even renunciants, the brahmacharis have to also struggle, to meet the standard what Prabhupada gave. And where is the question of others? Therefore, it's very important to note that one shouldn't become whimsical and just give up these rules which are prescribed, in the Shastra, for different categories of people. Very, very important. And as preachers, we should know which category person is standing in front of me, and accordingly we should preach that person. Or else we will become part of Niyamagraha in his life, where we'll tell him something and whimsically just give it up. Or just follow it for the sake of following without understanding what is that stuff. The first symptom of one who has attained Shraddha is surrender to the feet of Lord Krishna. This is the first symptom that is there. I read something very nice, interesting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, the rules and regulations prescribed in Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami is not meant, for renunciants. It's meant for Grahasthas and rich Grahasthas. Grahasthas, rich Grahasthas. Then I was able to resonate with the point which Vidwan Gauranga was talking about. Now he spoke about this. So basically all these different vratas, etc. are for rich Grahasthas. It was mentioned like that. So when it comes to surrender, there are also two types. The surrender when it comes to level of householders, surrender when it comes to the level of the renunciants. It will be different for both. Yes, because they have different duties to follow. Therefore, in Hari Bhakti Vilas, the rules are meant, various rules are given, for the Grahastha devotees. And at some places in Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami is talking about Shiva Chaturdashi. Now someone might question, but we are supposed to worship only Krishna, why Shiva Chaturdashi is mentioned? Again, step by step. Step by step, Sanatana Goswami is giving like that. And what about, then Hari Bhakti Vilas rules, regulations are not something which renunciants have to follow, then what are they supposed to follow? The behavior exhibited by the renunciant sadhu is proper behavior for the other renunciants. So we see, what the top-notch renunciants are doing, and we have to do that. वो नहीं हो पाया तो at least follow Hari Bhakti Vilas. Therefore, it's very important that we understand that what are the rules at our level that we are supposed to follow, and we cannot whimsically give it up, because if we whimsically give it up, then there is no question of taming the mind, culturing the mind, or training the mind. There is no question of doing that. There are rules and regulations given, prescriptions and prohibitions for everyone. Like for example, brahmacharis, all of us. So prescription, the rules for brahmacharis is one should be free, from the touch of wealth and women. There is no question of that. And now at the lower stages of bhakti is very clearly given. There is no question of discussing intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Now someone might say, no, I have become devotee now, so I can directly discuss, whatever higher aspects which are there. What will happen? We are not at that stage. And one shloka which I always had a doubt. The Falashruti of reading the Rasa Panchadhyaya is one becomes free from sex desire. Now I used to wonder, firstly, it is said ones who have sex desire shouldn't read this. And then it is said that, okay, if you read, then you become free from sex desire. Then what to do? Then very clearly in the translation it is given, a sober devotee, when he reads Rasa Panchadhyaya, then he will become free from lust. And who is a sober devotee? A sober devotee is the one who will not get aroused when he reads these different pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So we don't belong to that category. So there is no question of reading all this. So automatically when we grow higher in Krishna consciousness, when you go next step and next and next, then that stage will come where these things can be discussed. So there is no need to be so eager to understand what are happening, what are Radha and Krishna doing in the Nikunjas, and what are the different sevas that the gopis are rendering, what is the role of Manjari, what is the role of the Sakhis. It's okay. First, let's chant Hare Krishna attentively. We'll try to, in 108 times of one bead, let's try to hear at least one bead. And at our level, let's try to follow the 4 regulative principles properly, both at the gross and the subtle platform, and trying to follow the instructions given by the Acharya. And then automatically the higher stages will manifest, and the right intelligence will be given at the right time, so that we can do the necessary things at that particular step, following the prescriptions and the prohibitions which are there. Therefore, rules becomes very important. Niyam becomes very important for mind control at various stages, be it in karma, jnana, or bhakti. It is needed. Okay, thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki.